Vector A of magnitude 10 newtons makes an angle of 30 degrees clockwise with the positive y-axis, while vector B of magnitude 15 newtons makes an angle of 53 degrees anticlockwise with the negative x-axis, and a third vector of magnitude 20 newtons makes an angle of 135 degrees anticlockwise with a positive x-axis. Find the magnitude and direction of the vector A minus B plus C. So first thing first, for you to be able to do that, you need to know like where these vectors are, in which quadrants are they, and the directions which have been given, which ones are they. So x there, y there. Now you've been told that vector A has a magnitude of 10. Now I'm interested in the direction. If I am to tell in which quadrant this vector is, 30 degrees anti-clockwise, 30 degrees clockwise with a positive y. So this is the positive y. Now clockwise, friends, are we going to go A or we are going to go B? Where are we going to go? Yes, now.
B.
Okay.
Clockwise?
Clockwise.
No. Clockwise will go
All right, it's A. Okay. So meaning that the first vector, which is vector A that has been given, is going to be here. Okay, the direction given is this 30 degrees from the positive y. Okay, that's the vector A, and the magnitude is 10 newtons. You have got vector B of magnitude 15 newtons and makes an angle of 53 degrees anti-clockwise with a negative x. So the reference point is here, negative x. Now if you are going anti-clockwise, are you going to go C or you are going to go D? Someone? If you are going anti-clockwise from the negative x. Yes, now
D.
you are going to go in the D direction. All right. So meaning that we are going to start from here. Please switch off your mics. All right, thank you. So this is the angle for B, which has been given 53 degrees. And B, they've told us it has got a magnitude of 15 newtons. Okay, and then we've been told a third vector of magnitude 20 newtons makes an angle of 135 degrees anti-clockwise with a positive x. Now your hand is up.
Yes. So how do you know that that's the angle? Like we're given 53 in the question. How do you know it is there and not the other side?
You are starting you are
That
sta-
line.
you are starting from the negative x, so your reference should be from the negative x, and then you go in the anti-clockwise. So that will be the angle. This is the negative x, so going anti-clockwise you measure 53. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. And you also have a third vector of magnitude 20 newtons. It makes 135 degrees anti-clockwise with a positive x. So the reference is now positive x, and you are going anti-clockwise. Are you going to go up or go down? Martha, are you going to go up or go down?
If somebody says what, sir, I was doing something. This one I'm sitting now, practically social.
Okay, so this is
If
what
somebody, I was watching.
this is 135 degrees. In which quadrant? Anyone? In which quadrant is the angle 135? Is it first? Is it second? Is it third? Is it fourth? 135.
I think it's in the second quadrant.
Okay, it is the second quadrant. Remember, you are going anti-clockwise, meaning that you are going in this direction. So it's going to be in the second quadrant. So this is where the other vector is going to be like this. Okay, that's vector C, which has been given. And the angle given is like that from the positive x in the anti-clockwise. That is 135 degrees. And the magnitude for C is 20 newtons. If you will not do this, it will be a bit of trick for you to answer this question. Is this okay? Are we okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, now to be able to answer it, we are going to break. Like, if you want to find a minus b plus c, you like vectors, you work in components. So I'm going to write vector here, and then here I'm going to write x components, and then I'm going to write y component.
So for that one, 135, you don't
Yes,
look at the positive, because it's saying with the positive axis, you don't consider that.
this is the positive x-axis. This is where we started, and then we went in the anti-clockwise. We measured 135.
Okay.
Yes. Now let me ask this. So if, let's say you have got a vector x, no, let me not use x. Let's say we have got a vector z. How do you find the x component of z? And how do you find the y component of z? Can someone give me the formula? Zx is going to be given by what? Rejoice.
I think for that one we use cos
Okay, to be
for
z.
x com.
Very good. You use cos. It will be z. This z is representing the magnitude. So it's going to be z cos theta. And then for y component is going to be z sine theta. Alright. And then now here I've just written the formula so that you'll be following it. Now we have got the vector A. So starting with the vector A, you can see the vector A has been given in the first quadrant, all right? So meaning that ax is going to be the magnitude of a. The magnitude of a is 10 newtons. And then cos theta, the angle which a is making. Please always measure the angle from the positive x-axis. So this is where a is, right? So the angle that you want is from the positive x-axis to where a is. Now the angle that you've been given is this one. So what do you think? How can we find this angle? Theta.
What I think we'll do 90 minus 30.
Very good. So that is going to be 90 minus 30. So the angle I'm supposed to use is 60 degrees, not the 30. Okay, so this is going to be 10 cos 60 as ax, and then ay is going to be 10 sine 60. So just get to punch this. Cos 60 is a half, so half multiplied by 10 is 5. So this is going to be 5. Then the y component, just punch 10 sin 60. So that is going to give you 8.66. So that is the y component. And then we go to the vector b. To find bx is going to be the magnitude of b, and you can see that is 15, right? So the magnitude of b is 15, and then cos theta, the angle that b is making relative from the positive x. Okay, so the angle that you want is starting from here, going like this, ending up to here. Now I want someone to answer. What angle is that going to be? The angle starting from the positive x, going like that, up to here. What angle is this going to be? Now, what angle is that? Martha? Yes?
So it's 180 plus 53.
2, 233, 233.
Okay. Which is 180 plus 33. Alright, that's very good. That's 213, right? Oh, that is a 53, not 33. So that is 233. Very good. So the angle you are using is 233. Okay. And then the y component, we call it by. That is going to be
2,
15
15.
cos 233. Thank you very much. So let's just go and punch this on a calculator. 15 cos 233. That is going to give you, if you have got a calculator with you, negative 9.027225. At least write a lot of decimal places. because if you round off like just from here, you're going to get a wrong answer. And then 15 sine, it will give you negative 11 point. Yes, Rejoice. Okay, this is going to be C, bx and by. And then we'll go to C. So for C, we find cx. So now for C, we've already been given the angle starting from the positive x. So that will just be 20 cos. The angle starting from the positive x, that is 135. And this makes sense like for B. You expect both the x value and the y value to be negative. That's why both are negative, because that's in the third quadrant. Right? And then cy is going to be 20 sine of 135. Has someone punched that on their calculators? So I'll start with 20 sine 135. That has given me
14.
14.14213, right?
Yes.
And then if you use cos, it will be the same value but with a negative sign. Negative 14.1421. So we have found the x components and the y components together. So since I've already resolved, well and good. Yes, Rejoice.
So on the by component, you've used 15 cos instead of using 15 sine.
Oh,
I'm not getting that part.
no, I just wrote something wrong, but I punched on the calculator sign. Yeah, so that's sign. Are we good? So
Yes.
I can now remove this. Now remember what you want to find is a minus b plus c. So you need to find a minus b plus c for the x components alone. Okay, so you go to the x component of a, that is a 5, minus the x component of b, that is a negative 9.027. Is that a 225? Okay, and then plus c, the x component of c, which is a negative 14.1421. So this is going to be the x component of a minus b plus, and like just write it the same way it has been given. So this is 5 minus negative 9, that will just be positive 9.027225, and then minus negative 14. So this is giving me negative 0.11491. And then you do also the a minus b plus c, but for the y components. The y component of a, that is negative 0, that's negative 8.66, minus the y component of b, that's negative 11.97953, and then plus the y component of c, that is a positive 14.1421. So let's do that. Negative 8.66, negative 11, that will be positive 11.97, that's a 97953, and then plus 14.1421. So that is going to give us, yes please, someone has found? Martha?
No, sir, I haven't found. I have a question. You said even for the y component it to be b, it to be a minus b plus c, right? Why is it the here when you check the components, it's the what the ay is equal to 8.66, but here it's you put there a negative. Why have you put there a negative?
Oh, no, I've not just put it from nowhere. Yeah, that's correct. This is a positive value. I've not just put it like supposed to be there. I was saying instead of equal to, I saw a minus. So then this value So its value is going to be 34.78163. So this is a minus b plus c for the y component and the x component. So to find a minus b plus c itself, the magnitude of a minus b plus c, you get the x component squared, the y component squared, and then you square root. So that is going to be square root of negative 0.11491 squared plus 34.78163. Also square that and then you square root. Someone has punched, you can give us the value found. So this is giving me a 34.7818. You can see these were given in newtons, so this will be the magnitude in newtons. So for this one, for me, I can, if I want to round the final answer to one decimal place, okay, like 34.8 newtons, even if they've not specified to what decimal places you need to leave it. Now this is the magnitude. So the next thing that is remaining for us to find is the direction. Okay, the direction. And remember we said for to find the direction, theta is given by tan inverse of the y component. Now the y component here is this one, which is the 34.78163 divided by the x component, and the x component is negative 0.11491. So let's see what we find. I'll start by saying 34.718. So I'm wondering why I found basically the same answer with, okay, it was a small value. So 34.78163 divided by negative 0.11491, and then we take tan inverse of that value. So the answer that I found is negative 89.8 degrees. Now please, since you guys are privileged to attend this class, take note of this. You need, if one of these or both of them are negative, don't give this as a final answer, okay? Unless if both were positive, but here one is negative. So you need to know which quadrant this vector is. So you can see that the y x component is what, negative, but the y component is positive. So when x is negative and y is positive, it is in this quadrant. The angle that you find after punching tan inverse on the calculator is always related to the x-axis. If the vector is in this quadrant, then the angle you found is here. If the vector was here, it is here. If the vector was here, it is here. The vector is here, it is here. So the angle that you have found is always related to the x, is always related to this line. Yes, Martha?
So sir, you can't just draw from the first quadrant. Like most of the people just draw from the first quadrant. So when they do that, it's not correct. You're supposed to draw each and everything in their specific quadrants. That's when you should solve correct. If you draw in their specific quadrants.
Yes. So this
All right.
this value I found here is here. This is 89.8. Now the reason is simple why it's negative. Every time you're moving clockwise, angles are going to be negative because angles are measured in this direction. That's their positive form. So you can see that this angle is in this direction. That's why the negative sign is there. So the angle that you want to give is always starting from the positive x to where the vector is. So this is the angle that you want to find. How do you find that? It is just 180 minus 89.8, or this answer that you have found plus 180. So that is the answer that you're supposed to give. And that is a 90. This is given me like 90.189 degrees. So this is going to be the angle. I hope we punched everything rightly on a calculator. Okay, so that is going to be the angle for this one. Are we good? So meaning that this thing is much closer here. Like it's supposed to be very close to the y-axis because this is 89. And you know that if it is like this is 90 degrees. So it's supposed to be very, very close to the y-axis. Okay, next question. While exploring a cave, a person starts at the entrance and makes the following successive distances. So we are also going to show these distances that a person made. Here is the x and here is the y. So we have been told firstly she goes 75 meters north. So north, actually for this one we are using a compass. There's nothing like y axis and x axis. There's nothing like that. So I'm going to remove these. So this is going to be the east, this is going to be the west, this is the north, and this is the south. So I'm moving on a compass. So it takes 75 meters north, meaning that you start from here, you go straight, following the what? Following the north. Okay, so starting from here, like that, supposed to make 75. I don't know where 75 will reach, but we just say that, and we'll put that as 75 meters. And then the next displacement is 250 east. So you are going to be going towards the east from there. Sorry, let me use this. Okay, like that. And it's supposed to be 250. Now these are sketches. You are not drawing. It's not a drawing. So this is 250 meters on the what? On the east. And then the next one, 125 meters at an angle of 30 degrees north of west. Okay, north of west. Now those who attended the first class, if we say north of west, where are we starting from? Are we starting from the north or starting from the west?
From the west.
Okay, north of west meaning we are coming from the west towards the north. So meaning that the angle that we are talking about is going to be in which quadrant? Okay, north of west, it's here. This is where the other displacement is. And the angle that has been given, we're moving from the west towards the north like that. So that's the angle given, north of west. Okay, so this one has got a magnitude of 125 meters, and that is 30 degrees north of west. And then the last one, they've said 150 meters south. So 150 meters south, just go with the south and then just put a magnitude as 150. So this is 150 meters south. Okay, so we've represented now the information that we have here. Now we need to break this into components. So we're going to have vector, we are going to have the x component, we are going to have the y component. Now the goodness with this question, even if it had a lot of marks, like it was like 12 marks, most of these are given along the x and along the y, so it is very easy to find the components. Okay, so let's say for the 250 meters displacement, for the 250 meters, let me put it here. You can see it is along the east, meaning that it's along the x-axis. So it only has an x value, right? So that value is actually the x value. It doesn't have any y value because it's along the x-axis. And then for the 75 meters displacement, it's along the y-axis or the north. It doesn't have any x value, but that value you are seeing is the x value. I mean the y value, 75. And then for the 150 meters displacement, it is along the north. Now, I mean towards the south. So meaning that x is what? 0. Alright? And then the 150 we are saying, since it's going towards the south, South is negative y value, so that would be negative 150. So the only one you need to break into components is the 125 meters. And the angle that you need to use is this angle here.
I have a question.
Yes, Martha.
How do you know that this person was walking along the x-axis? Where is showing
They've told
left
you
is
north is along, they've told you it's along the north, along the east, along the south. So you know east is x-axis, north is y-axis,
where
south.
is the along sound in the statement say? I don't see it.
What don't you see? 75 meters north, you can't see?
Oh, it's along. Okay, I analyze now. Thank you.
Okay. So the angle that we are using, remember this is 30 degrees. So what angle is this going to be? Anyone to answer us? What angle is this?
It's a 150.
This is 150. So meaning that x component is going to be the magnitude, which is 125 cos 150. And then this side is going to be 125 sine of 150. Okay? So 125 cos 150. That is going to give negative 108.25. That is 253. And then the other side 125 sine of 150. You are going to get 62.5.
It's 62.5.
Alright, thank you. And it should make sense. Like you expect x value to be negative because you are in this quadrant, and you expect the y value to be positive because you are here. Yes, Rejoice.
So I'm a bit behind on how you had to find the x and the y. My
O-
network is not on.
So on which one?
Just on the first one you've written vector 250, the x and the y you put 250 and 0.
So for the first one, 250, you can see 250. The question is saying is along the east, and the east is the is the positive x-axis. So if something is along the east, it means it doesn't have any y value. So this same value is going to be the x value. Okay, because east, like when something is on the positive x, then it means the x value, the y value is 0. That's why we are able to see the 250 there. And then for this one, it's along the north, and north is positive y, meaning that there is no x value, but the y value is the same 75. This one is along the south, and also it will not have any x value because the south is a negative y, meaning that the 150 as a component is going to be negative 150 because it's along the negative y, that is the south. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Alright, and now we need to find the resultant. Now since we just want to find the resultant, for the resultant, add the x components alone, you find resultant in the x. So what is that? You add 250 plus 0 plus 0 plus negative 108.25. Who has done that to give us the value? So that is just basically 250 plus negative 108.253. Now if they've just said find the resultant, they've not told you to add, subtract, or what, just add, right? So this is going to give you 141.747. And then to find the resultant in the y, you add 0 plus 75 plus negative 150 plus 62.5. Who has found that? 75 minus 150 plus 62.5. So that is going to give us a negative 12.5.
12.5.
Okay. So to find the resultant itself, you get the resultant in the x, you square it, the resultant in the y, you square it, and then you square root. So it's going to be 141.747 squared plus negative 12.5 squared. Please don't forget to write that in brackets. If you don't, you will not get it right. So this is going to give us 142.297. This one has been given in meters. Okay, so that would be meters. Now, you know that a vector should have magnitude and direction. So what we have found is just the magnitude. And if you forget to find the direction, then you are donating some marks to the marker. So you always need to find the direction for a vector. So theta is given by tan inverse of the y component. And the y component, you can see that's a negative 12.5 divided by the x component. And the x component, that is 141.747. Please, you always need to remember that. Right, so let's do that. Negative 12.5 divided by 141.747. The answer that we get, we press tan inverse. So this has given me a negative 5.0396 degrees. Again, since one of the components was negative, we need to see in which quadrant this is. Okay, so you can see that the x value is positive but the y value is negative, meaning that this vector is in this quadrant, the resultant. So the angle that you found is actually this one. Okay, the negative sign has come in because you are going in the clockwise direction. Vectors are measured, angles are measured in the anti-clockwise. So how do you find the angle now you want? Is this angle from here up to where the vector is. So how do you do it? It is just 360 minus the angle, or the angle that you have found plus 360, because it's already negative. So meaning that the angle of our interest, or the direction, is 354.96 degrees. So this is the angle, the direction is supposed to give. So the magnitude, direction, you get all the marks. Are we good? Yes, Rejoice.
I'm not clear on the last part. Where how did you know that's supposed to be in the fourth quadrant?
So you look at the x value. The x value is positive. The y value is negative. Rejoice. In which quadrant do you have the x value being positive and the y value being negative? In which quadrant? X value positive, y value negative.
I think in the first quadrant, the x value will be positive.
And then the y value negative is in which quadrant? So this is called the positive
Oh,
x. This is called the negative y. So the intersection, positive x and
so
negative
it's in
y.
the fourth.
Here. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And you've said the angle that you find is always related to the x. That is why this is the angle that you found. Okay, next question. A person is located 225 meters and 35 degrees north of west. So let's also represent this.
Sir, can I say
Yes.
something?
Yes.
Maybe the reason why that question was even carrying a lot of mass, it was because not everyone knows that if something is going along something along either the x-axis or the y-axis, it won't have anything to just be zero. I think that's the reason.
Peradventure. So meaning that we have to know, right? So if someone doesn't know, they risk themselves. So every time you've been given a compass, you need to use north, west, south, not x and y. So here they've told you a person is located, like the current position of the person is 225 meters at 35 degrees north of west. North of west meaning we are starting from the west towards the north, right? North of west. Okay. So some is somewhere here. That's where the vector is. And you've been told the person is located here the magnitude of 225 meters, 35 degrees north of west, meaning you are starting from the west towards the north. Please, if you give this angle is west of north. You are talking about north of west. So please make sure you write the correct one. So this is 35 degrees. Okay, this is the current position. And then we've been told she walked from her initial position to her final position in two stages. So this is the final position. So she walked for her to reach there in two stages. In the first stage of her walk, she walked 150 meters at 20 degrees south of east. Okay, south of east. In which quadrant is south of east?
In the fourth quadrant.
In the fourth. And remember, the east is the second thing to be mentioned. So that means that is where you are coming from, coming from the east. Okay, so this person gets to move for the first move 20 degrees south of east. So this is the angle given, 20 degrees. And this is our first walk. Let me call it F1, right? And then the magnitude they've told us is 150 meters. Now the question is, how far and in what direction did she walk in her second part? Now we don't know about the second part. That's what we want to find. So again, I'm going to write vector here. I'm going to write the x components, and I'm going to write the y components. So we have got first the first walk f1. Let's find the x component of f1. X component is given by magnitude. Let me first label that as f1x. Okay, f1x, the magnitude is 150 cos, right? Cos. Now the angle that you want to use is the angle relative from the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise to where the vector is. What angle is that? What angle is that, friend?
340.
340.
340.
So f1x is going to be the magnitude 150 cos the angle, which is 340. And then f1y is going to be 150 sine, or 340. What was punched? What have you found? 150 cos 340.
It's 140.95389.
Okay, and then if you use sine, 150 sine 340, negative 551.30.
Negative
Minus 30.
Okay, now a second walk f2, we don't know it, right? That's the one we've been asked. How far and in what direction did she walk in a second part? So the x component, I'm just going to call it as f2x. And then our y component, I'm just going to call it as f2y, because we don't know. But the resultant, after she walked for the first time and the second time, she ended that at the position. That's the resultant, the final position. Now this is the one you're able to see here. Okay, so the resultant in the x, the magnitude is 225. And then cosine, what angle are we going to use? The angle of interest is this one, relative from the positive x. What angle is that? 180.
145.
Okay, 145.
145.
So that's the angle that we are using, cos 145. And then RY is going to be 225 sine 145. So this is going to give us, can someone punch 225?
Negative 81. Oh, negative 184.
Negative 184.309.
0.30.
And then let's find the other one. 225 sine. It's giving me 129.05 469, or
129.05
so let me just say
469.82.
47. Okay, now I can remove what I have here so that I use the part. So from what we have, when we add f1 and f2, we should get r. In other words, f1 in the x plus f1 in the f2 in the x, we should get the rx. So if I add this and this, I should get the resultant, which is this. Okay, so we're just going to say 140.9. I also don't know what I was writing. I don't know if it's a 3 or a 5, which I wrote. 95389, and then plus f2x. That should give us negative 184.309.
So is it only me?
What? Madam, is it on you? What?
Sir,
Yes. Okay, so we are now going to take this the other side. Please, just give me a moment. It seems something has disconnected or something. Just give me a moment. It seems something has disconnected or something. Are you now able to see? Can you see? Martha, can you see now?
Yes, for me, yeah. Okay, yes, I'm seeing. I didn't even notice the difference.
Okay. So I'm going to take the 140 the other side. Is going to become negative. So meaning that f2x is going to be negative 184.36 minus 140.95. So negative 184, that's 0.369 minus 140. So this is giving me negative 325.322. This is given in meters magnitude. And then we'll go also to the y component. So if we add the y component for f1, that's negative 51.3030.
So I've already found. Can I tell you the answer?
Sure, you can.
Then people will complain. Negative 180.
So I'll take just a negative 51 the other side. So f2y is going to give us what? Negative
180.
uh, now negative 180.
Yeah, that's what I found.
So if you take
I don't
this,
remember
if
writing.
if you take this value, the other side is going to become positive. So 129 plus 51. The answer should give you positive.
Oh, it's positive. I
What?
see what you've done. I just did direct.
Okay.
180 something. 180.35.
Okay. So that's
180.35,
so,
180.357.
okay, like
That's the
that.
answer.
All right. Now we have found the x component and the y component. So now let's find f2 itself. And that f2 is simply square root y x component negative 325.322 squared. Yes, Martha.
I'm sorry, sir, but I didn't understand how you made that equation.
They've said, look at the question. A person is located at what? 225 meters and 35 degrees north of. That's our location from our initial position. And then they continue. She walked from her initial position to her final position in two stages. Okay, so the only way you can, like, you are at this position, but before you reached here, you moved first like this, and then you moved like that, and then you reach that final position. So meaning that you have to add the first walk and the second walk for you to reach at the final position where you are. Is that okay? Okay. So let's punch that. This is negative 325.322 squared plus 180.3577 squared, and then square root that. So this is going to give us, it's giving me 371.972 meters. The next thing we need to find, since this is a vector, a direction. And theta is always given by tan inverse of y component, and the y component is 180.3577 divided by x component, which is negative 325.322. So I'm going to start by saying 180 divided by negative 325.322. The answer that I find, I now press tan inverse of that value. That is given me negative 28.9556 degrees. Now I need to look at where this angle is, where this vector is. X is negative, y is positive. So this is the negative x, this is positive y. Meaning that the vector is in this quadrant, and the angle that you have found is actually this one. So the angle that you want is this one. So to the angle that you found, just add 180, then you would have found. So that is going to give you 151.04 degrees. Are we okay? Are we good? Okay. So that is the end of this question.
Yes.
So I just want to show you something. Let's say you were finding vectors and then you found that the x component for this vector, let's say, was negative 2. And then the y component of this vector was negative 3. You want to find the direction of this vector. The direction. So you know that theta is given by tan inverse of y component, which is negative 3, over x component, which is negative 2. Right? So we just say negative 3 over negative 2, which is just 3 over 2. And then you press tan inverse. This is going to give you theta being 56.3 degrees. Now even if the angle is positive, these two values, x is negative, y is also negative, meaning that this vector is here. The angle that you have found is this one. This is the 56.3. You need to find the angle related from the positive x to where that vector is. So meaning that to this angle you have found, you need to add 180. That will now give you the direction of your vector.